is Valley News Live at 10.
North Dakota tops a new list, but it's not something to be proud of.
The state has the most driver license suspensions in the country, with 7% of drivers having suspended licenses.
Valley News Team's Melanie Palmer hit the streets to find out what people think of this ranking, including the Highway Patrol.
I prefer not to be around the city. I prefer to be out in the countryside.
Chris Knudsen has been all across the U.S. He's been down a lot of roads and has come across countless drivers. But when he heard North Dakota is number one when it comes to the most driver's license suspensions, he was surprised. He assumed it would be a state with more people living in it.
Phoenix, Arizona, there was I just figured there would be more people out in that area, that big city, that would have suspended licenses.
But not everyone is as shocked by this latest ranking.
During my vacation here, there's not a whole lot else to do other than go to bars, drink, and then people get in their cars and they don't use Lyft or Uber very often.
Susie South is traveling here from California to visit family, and she tells us she believes drinking and driving plays a huge role in the number of people getting their license suspended.
Yeah, alcohol is a big factor, I think.
And she's not too far from wrong. In fact, Sergeant Matthew Denault with the North Dakota Highway Patrol says the most common reason drivers have their license suspended in the state is because of people driving drunk.
We do encounter a lot of drivers who do have suspended licenses, and we do arrest a lot of people or charge people out with violations that would lead to a suspension of their license.
And Minnesota isn't in the clear either. The land of 10,000 lakes was ranked number 9 on that same list, with around 4% of Minnesotans having a suspended license. In Fargo, Melanie Palmer, Valley News Live.
Williston is the biggest contributor to the suspended license problem in North Dakota. Its share of drivers with a suspended license is nearly 2.5 times the national average.
This was a tough day for employees at LME Trucking after the company's abrupt shutdown yesterday. Fargo is home to one of 30 or so terminals for the company. Some of the workers we talked to today who didn't want to go on camera said they weren't getting paid. A couple of customers told us their freight is now in limbo.
We shipped some freight out on Wednesday and hasn't reached our customer yet. We found out on Thursday night that they had shut down, and I just came over this morning to check out, see if we can get the freight back. Unfortunately, since they don't have any employees, they can't give us the freight currently.
LME's website says that they are no longer making pickups or deliveries due to unforeseen circumstances. One worker tells us that there'll be nearly 500 drivers looking for a new job as of yesterday. There's still no word as to what caused that fatal aircraft crash at the Hawley airport yesterday afternoon. Federal investigators were on scene today trying to find out what led to the death of 69-year-old Bradley Gibbs. He was the pilot and only occupant in the aircraft and died at the scene. According to the FAA, Gibbs' aircraft was a 2018 AR-1 model rotorcraft, or a small helicopter. Gibbs' aircraft is listed as experimental and is categorized as amateur built.
A ballot proposal was turned in today calling for the legalization of marijuana for people 21 and over in North Dakota. It is the second time that supporters are trying to get the question before voters.
This is just a stepping stone. We feel like we need to end prohibition in North Dakota. It is time. Citizens don't need to be getting an infraction, having it on their criminal record. So this is just the beginning.
Vetter says the group hopes to get the proposal on the June 2020 ballot.
County officials in Hennepin County say that more than 170 people have contracted an intestinal illness after visiting Lake Minnetonka's Big Island over the 4th of July. At a news conference today, health officials said so far they've spoken to 250 potential victims, and from that group they say they can confirm at least 172 had the illness. Symptoms include vomiting and diarrhea, but they are not as severe as an E. coli case. Officials have yet to identify a cause, but say it's highly likely it came from people ingesting infected water.
Anytime there's a situation where there's a large number of cats, the biggest thing is we wait to hear from law enforcement to determine, are they going to come into our care and when are they going to come into our care?
Fargo police say they plan to pursue formal charges against a woman who had 30 cats and kittens locked inside her minivan downtown on a hot day.
Officers seized the animals, but they're not up for adoption just yet because some were not in good shape. Valley News Team's Joshua Peguero spoke to a local shelter that accepts animals found by investigators.
Homeward Animal Shelter in Fargo currently has dozens of cats up for adoption.
Ed's been here a couple weeks. He is pending adoption, so hopefully he's going to get to go home.
Some were left behind by their owners. Others have gone through trauma, but one thing they have in common is that they're in need of a home.
We are in the midst of what we in the shelter world call kitten season. It means when all the kittens come pouring in.
Heather Clyde says they have dealt with situations where animals seized from owners by law enforcement are turned over to their shelter for care.
We just take action. We find foster families. We make room at the shelter. The biggest thing is getting those animals vaccinated and getting the veterinary care that they need.
I'm standing at the parking lot where Fargo police say discovered about 30 cats locked inside a white minivan when it was about 80 degrees outside. Right now, the person isn't being identified because they have yet to bring formal charges. Fargo police say the investigation is active and the person wasn't arrested or cited at the scene.
We just dealt with some situations last year where a lot of unhealthy cats came in at the same time, so it took a lot of effort.
Clyde says she can't discuss if the cats seized Thursday are in the shelter's possession since it's an active investigation. In the meantime, if you want to adopt a cat, you can do so at Homeward. You'll have to fill out an application, but you'll get an answer in 24 to 48 hours. In Fargo, Joshua Peguero, Valley News Live.
And police say they'll forward the case to the Cass County State's Attorney for possible charges. There's no timetable on when that will happen.
Blue-green algae blooms could be to blame for the death of a dog that was swimming in a Minnesota pond. It died yesterday in Rochester, Minnesota. The beach there has not been closed, but authorities issued a health advisory warning people there might be bacteria in the water. The health risk to humans swimming amid blue-green algae is low, according to the health department. However, adults, children, and animals should avoid contact with water with blue-green algae.
Britain has joined a war of words, so to speak, between Iran and the United States.
It began last week when the British Navy seized an Iranian tanker on suspicion of carrying Iranian oil to Syria. Matt Bradley has the latest.
Britain is now all in. They're sending yet another warship to the region to protect British oil tankers that are passing through the Strait of Hormuz. That destroyer is going to be replacing a warship that had been operating, protecting a boat called British Heritage that had come into contact with the Iranian Revolutionary Guard just a couple of days ago and nearly came to blows. The Iranians themselves have vowed to confront any British oil tankers that are going through the Strait of Hormuz that are within range of Iranian warships. And that's because Britain seized an Iranian oil tanker last week that was passing around through the Strait of Gibraltar, which is part of British territory, and tried to prevent it from reaching Syria.
Last week, we acted because we had reasonable grounds to believe that this vessel was taking actions in breach of established EU sanctions against Syria.
Iran says that that oil tanker wasn't even headed to Syria, and furthermore that they have the right to disobey European Union sanctions.
This situation is ramping up amidst the backdrop of U.S. and Iran tensions. Iran says it's going to continue over-enriching uranium beyond what was stipulated in the 2015 deal.
Despite the heat, people gathered at Island Park to strike up a conversation about whole-body wellness. From journal writing and painting to yoga and exercise programs, organizers wanted to create a supportive event around learning the signs and symptoms of colon and rectal cancers. Love Your Buns was started by Sarah DeCamp and her husband after she was diagnosed with stage 3 rectal cancer in 2016.
We wanted people to know that there's just this huge community of advocates, whether it be fitness, wellness, healthy eating. Cancer isn't fought by just chemotherapy. It's fought by a holistic wellness approach to mind, body, soul, all of that.
The event was free and open to people of all ages.
Organizers of ND Country Fest in New Salem, North Dakota say more than 800 sites were booked for the 3-day festival. Campers started moving in on Wednesday afternoon and are fired up.
My wife is a country fan and we've never done it before, and it's close enough to Bismarck where we're from, and so we thought we'd give it a try.
Do you have to convince him to do this since he's not a country fan?
Slightly.
New Salem is west of Bismarck, and if you're looking for some weekend fun without the long drive, the Red River Valley Fair is underway in West Fargo. The Clay County Fair is going on in Barnesville, and the FM Redhawks are playing at home.
The winner of a $21.6 million Lotto America jackpot has stepped forward to claim his prize. The winning ticket was purchased at the Holiday gas station in Ramsey, Minnesota. Jeffrey Love, who lives in Elk River for the time being, said he was on his way to work when he found out that his ticket, which was in the glove box of his car, was a winner. He said he initially called into work to say that he'd be a little late, but then he called a bit later to say he wouldn't be in at all that day.
Valley News Live 10 at 10 continues with no wait weather.
All right, we are heading into our weekend with some thunderstorm risk, mainly out in the western and central Dakotas. However, our south and western counties, very late tonight, early tomorrow morning, stand a chance at seeing some stout storms. That chance is very small. We'll go over more on that here in just one moment. For now, here is a look at that radar. Storms approaching the Minot area have lost a little bit of punch in the last few scans, in fact, losing some of their lightning as well. And storms that are in parts of southwest North Dakota, very stout. Severe thunderstorm warning for gusty straight line winds with this cell that's working its way into the Minot area. It's going to slide just to the south with the brunt or the cores of this storm pushing south of Minot. And the hail track, as you see, losing some of the bright colors here, although it's still capable of some sizable hail. Down to the south, we have a tornado warning active in southwest North Dakota for a storm approaching Mott as we speak. Some tight rotation with that one there, and hail potential. And these are the stronger of the thunderstorm cells between the two clusters. And as we take a look and set these into motion near New Salem, Sioux out there in western portions of North Dakota that we just heard of, one cell moving due east will pass to the north of that, but a few skirting the area for all of those out camping for their festival. Now, as storms move through, the best chance is going to be in our southwestern counties as we go through the overnight. 60s and mid 60s up near Lake of the Woods, 67 for Bemidji this hour. Grand Forks 68, Jamestown 74 your temperature. Fergus Falls is in the mid 70s also. With a look at our current conditions, we have 75 at Hector, calm wind now, and it is a beautiful close 2-hour day. As we take a look at your hour-by-hour forecast, we head to bed tonight and the storms roll out of the central north portions of North Dakota. The best chance as we approach morning will be in Stutzman County and points south of there. Dickey and Lemoore counties into southeast North Dakota by daybreak, but the risk of severe by this time of the day will be quite small. And my belief is that the best thing, or the one thing we'll need to worry about, would be gusty straight line winds. We'll keep our eyes on that for you. The rest of us start the day off quiet and in the 60s. We'll have south wind tomorrow and we'll see sunshine, and that first half of the day will be delightful with afternoon temperatures rising up into the 80s. Even in Lakes Country, it looks very summer-like. Now, late again tomorrow night at bedtime, storms rocking out of Canada will push into northwest portions of our viewing area as we go into your late Saturday night and early Sunday morning. In Fargo, mid-60s to start, ramping temperatures back up into the mid-80s for a summer-like day with south winds at 5 to 15 miles per hour. Your sun sets at 9:20 tomorrow night. Okay, nighttime thunderstorms most likely up in our northern counties as we close out our day. The rest of us fairly quiet throughout the day with quite a bit of sunshine and temperatures in the low to mid-80s out there. Speaking of nighttime thunder, this morning in West Fargo, we saw a little bit of that off in the distance. Thanks for uploading your photo. Now let's take a look at your forecast. Sunday looks like a sizzler near 90 in Fargo, a hot one, with a good chance of periods of thunderstorms. Monday, we stay hot. We do not lose the chance of storms, although they'll be more spotty Monday and Tuesday. Wednesday, the next best chance of showers and storms in the area.
You got to cross your fingers it doesn't land in your house, your area.
Exactly.
Yeah, thanks, Hutch. Up next on Valley News Live at 10, school may be out, but parents need to start thinking about getting their kids ready for the upcoming school year.